everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We are so excited and have been for a long time. And so we all introduced now. And but I want to add a few words. First to this talk and then to the three incredible panelists. So the talk is called Sexual Health, the Missing Piece of Holistic Health, because I really think that sexual health is the missing piece of holistic health. We can talk so much about food, sleep, biohacking, etc., and that is amazing, don't get me wrong, but sex and intimacy is such an important part of our lives, so we cannot let this topic out when we are talking about when we're talking about health and longevity. So, yeah, I'm very grateful that Copenhagen Health Week has this topic on the schedule. So, Dr. Leni, we talked a few months ago about this talk, and I just couldn't stop smiling afterwards because, I'm just so inspired by your knowledge and your wisdom in this area. So, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And August is one of my teachers at my sexology studies, and I just couldn't not ask him to be here because I'm just so in awe of you, August, and how you bring consciousness into every conversation, and you are really in tune to how we talk about our emotions, and that is definitely an important part of sexual health as well. And then, of course, Clara. I'm so inspired by what you do with Peech and the great community you have built around sexual well-being here in Denmark. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So, one thing that is very important in sexual health and in intimacy is presence. And it is important in everything that we do. So for us to just be a little bit more present for this conversation, I want to invite you to, just for a second, close your eyes. Just really take a deep breath down into your belly. And really reflect on, what do I know about sexual health? What is sexual health to me even? What perspective am I listening with to this conversation? You can slowly begin to blink your eyes open again. Thank you so much, that was beautiful. So, I want to start with laying the foundation and asking you guys, starting with you, Leni, what is sexual health to you?
Well, sexual health, first of all, it doesn't mean not being sexually sick. So sexual health doesn't have anything to do with MSTs, you know? But sexual health has to do with the connection we have with our body. Male or female, no problem, but we really must feel the connection. I'm a female sexual expert, so and I give classes in which I just explain and educate people to be connected with their genitals in a proper way, because we do not think about our genitals, never. I mean, this is not a part of our life for most of us. And especially what I am really into is the difficulty and the lack of orgasm, because this is really a thing. This is something we are not actually, we don't have, we are not brave enough to talk about this with ourselves sometimes, but this is a part of our life that for many people is not working, because to orgasm is not that easy for a high percentage of people, especially women, and they just feel broken. They just feel that something is not going on, but they just put this below the rug because the rest of their life is functioning perfectly. And this, at a biological and physiological level, produces this what I call the silent stress, and this is immensely, hugely dangerous for our health. That's why we as women are more, you know, I mean, we suffer more of autoimmune disease. It's not only for sexuality, but this is for sure for the silent stress we leave about the connection with our body, which is not linear, which is not working. And there is also a kind of, let's call it, good ignorance. We probably don't know how our body really works sexually. I have here something that I really want to show you. This is a clitoris.
You should have
Yes.
asked what it is, and then people should guess what it was.
Yeah, sure. I should have done, yes, this as an answer. So this is the only organ in the female body that it's who has the only aim, the only goal of provoking sexual pleasure. And we just don't know that the shape is this one, that those bulbs must have an erection in order to feel pleasure during, for example, penetration. Penetration happens through the bulbs. If the bulbs are not erected, just as a penis erection, it's impossible to feel something. Impossible, you know. So this is like a normal size, real size, but when this organ gets an erection, it becomes 11.5 centimeters, and it's completely inside the female body. You cannot see it, you cannot feel it from outside. But this is absolutely something that people should know, because the vaginal canal doesn't have any nerve and any role in pleasure, but just another one nerve, which is the pudendum, that starts from the brain, runs through the spine, and it divides us in three little, let's call them roots, and they just go in the pelvis, both for women and men, but mostly for women, they go here. So the pudendum nerve is the nerve responsible for sexual pleasure, and this organ is the only organ responsible for sexual pleasure. And when it doesn't happen, and I'm talking about orgasm, but not only orgasm, just sexual pleasure, and enjoy the sexual intercourse with women or with men or alone in a proper way, it's a thing. So think about it and don't hide this part of ourselves, because it's very important, and it has to do with the health, with the general health of the body and the mental health of the person.
I also think it's so important what you're saying here, because a lot of us aren't really taught this, that we actually, as women, also need an erection.
Yes, they do.
And I think it's so important because a lot of us don't really, as you said before, are in touch with or you really think about our genitals. So, and when we sort of close off to that area of our body, it becomes much more difficult for us to actually, release the hormones that we need to release in terms of sexual well-being. Right?
Yes, and you know what? It also depends a lot on how we raised and the culture we come from. But I work with more. Well, it's like now more than 1,000 women, and 500 of them are still active right now, and I have this cross-cultural, crowd that I work with, and the struggle is the same. So the education we received and the environment we grew up has a big role. But then an amazing, wealthy woman from New York City is living the same struggle of a woman raised, I don't know, in Indonesia, picking up rice since she was a child. And I have, obviously, personal and professional evidences of this. And so, so the female body can be tricky. And it's not all about hormones. It's not all about the right partner. It's not all about stuff that are so easy. It really has to do with the relationship that we create with our body and really with our genitals. Definitely. Both men and women, I have to say.
Yeah, definitely. It's about bringing awareness to this topic. Yeah. How about you, August? What do you think when you think about sexual health?
Yeah, first of all, it's about having a healthy body, functioning genitals, being confident about my gender and my sexual orientation. And then it's also about emotional well-being. Do I feel safe? Do I feel confident? How do I feel about my sexuality?
Yeah.
And then it's about mental well-being also. So what's my experience with sexuality? And what do I think about sex? What do I know about sex? And what do I not know about sex? So there is a mental element also.
Yeah.
And then at the end there is a relational or social element also.
Yeah.
So what's my experience, and how do I relate to and connect to my sexual partner? So when all this is balanced, then it's kind of, sexual health, to my experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And does that start with asking the right questions? I mean, you just asked a lot of like reflective questions.
Yes.
Is that the first thing we have to do for us to sort of bring awareness to our sexual health, do you think?
I think the first question we should ask ourselves is, what's my intention with having sex? So what am I in for in the sexual act? Is it love and connection? Is it is it important to me to be, validated for my, my body or my beauty or my sexiness or whatever it is? Or is it something completely different, like doing it for my partner or doing it for pure pleasure and play? And so what's my intention with having sex? And I think that is, when I speak to my clients, that is a question they have never raised for themselves. So yeah.
I've also just started having one-on-one clients, and no one has asked themselves that question.
No.
And I think it's so crazy to think about. Yeah, thank you, August. What about you, Clara? What is sexual health for you?
I think it's something we don't talk about so much. We don't talk about it enough, and I agree with all three of you that it's almost a key to how we feel emotionally and where we are mentally in our life. So if I'm feeling super stressed about work or anything, then I don't have any lust for sex. And if I have energy and everything's just going well, I feel a much bigger energy for having sex with a partner, with myself. So I think it's not just sex. We often talk about sex that it's not so complicated. It's just something we have, like drinking water, and we eat our breakfast and we go to bed in the evening. And that's I like the way you say it, August, that we have not asked ourselves why we're having sex, because it's just a ritual like every other thing we do in our everyday life. So I think sexual health is really taking your sex life serious. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, taking it serious. Actually, and asking the right questions and actually connecting with the body. So, 3 beautiful perspectives. Dr. Leni, I want to ask you, because I want to dive a bit more into the body and science of it all. So you often talk about how lack of sexual pleasure affects the body. So what actually happens biologically when sexual pleasure is missing?
Okay, first of all, there's the struggle, and there's the sensation of feeling missing something. I mean, my body is not working for some reason. I mean, I speak with thousands of women that just feel that their vagina inside, I mean, the vaginal canal feels completely insensible. I mean, insensitive, no sensation during penetration with anything, with fingers, with a penis, with a sex toy. So, and this is a very much common condition. Let me say that. I mean, it doesn't mean that, penetration not always gives pleasure. And this is a matter of tension. This is a matter of being stressed about this, about what I am doing, because I feel pain, for example, during penetration, and this just low my desire and just puts me away from that. I don't want that. It's painful, or this this insensitivity that we can have in our genitals also plays an important role. And then sometimes we don't have the tools because we do not receive the proper sexual education when we are kids, literally kids. So sometimes we do and say things during the intercourse to our partner that are really traumatic. We traumatize people and we don't know we are. I mean, not on purpose. And this is also something that harms a lot the relationship with sexuality. But to go back to your question, so what happens biologically? So this lack of pleasure and, just trying and, any single intercourse we have, that it can be with our husband or our wife or the Tinder date, doesn't matter. We always think maybe this is the right time for me to feel something, and this doesn't happen, or maybe it does. But biologically, we produce stress hormones. This just intoxicates our blood, our cells, our body. The physiology of our body changes because of this. Or maybe, this is another very important example, I'm talking about penetration and, for example, women sometimes receive passively penetration when they are not ready for that. To receive penetration, we must be ready. We must be open to receive. And most of the times, we women receive penetration when the erection is there. In heterosexual sex, I'm talking about this now. So this is not the point. And, we have to respect and consider the timing, because bodies work differently. And, I have to receive penetration when I'm biologically and physiologically, and my muscles and my pelvic muscles are ready to receive it. Otherwise, it causes pain and, of course, stress. And we release cortisol like there's no tomorrow,
Yeah. So how do we, come to that point where we only have sex when we are actually ready? I mean, I think a lot of women have difficulty actually saying what they want when they want it. And saying, no, not yet. I mean, how do we get to that point where we only have sex when we are actually ready?
This is a matter of, let's call it, respect in general and respect of the timing. So we first must know our timing. We first must know our body, how our vulva, how our clitoris work, and how we are really engaged on what we are doing. If we do not feel comfortable, if if something goes wrong, we're just not ready, we should tell it, and we should not fear to be judged. Because the point in sexuality sometimes is, I don't say this because maybe my partner can judge me, or can attack me, or can offend me, or can traumatize me, or I can traumatize him. So this is also something which is very important to take it into consideration. And basically, I mean, I could talk for 2 months in a row about this, but I only have a few minutes. Yeah. So I have to leave space also to my colleagues here.
Yeah, Clara.
But I think it's both parts. Responsibility to understand the female body, and I think it's so nice you have the clitoris with you in the pocket and showing it, because I think nobody actually knows that a clitoris looks like that, because the visible part is the little thing there, and then the whole other structure is in the pelvic floor, like you told us, Dr. Leni. And in my shop at Peech, we sell sexual products, and we have products that stimulates the whole clitoris. And when we show people in the shop, it's a person who actually actively went to a sex shop to buy something to pleasure themselves, and we show them a picture of the clitoris, they're shocked that it looks like that. So I think that we don't know our bodies too well. So even to put words on it and saying, hey, I'm not ready yet, we don't know when we're ready because we don't even know our bodies and how it looks. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and we're not taught to actually sort of like, how does it feel when we're ready?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not really taught that.
No.
So it's, so that's why it also can be difficult. Do you feel like, the people that come to you at Peech, do they not only buy pleasure products for fun, but also in terms of body awareness and health?
Yeah,
think?
there are people buy it for all sorts of reasons. And I think that a sex toy is a really special product because you can use it for practicing fantasies and just for pure pleasure. But you can also use it for something that is frustrating you and to get to know your body even better. And we see all sorts of customers in the stores.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
August, I'm interested in hearing, because now we hear Dr. Leni talk about, some of the female, problems we can have. You also work with a lot of male clients. What are some of the physical or emotional difficulties you have with some of your male clients that you want to highlight?
Yeah. I think that when we talk about this issue here, that I totally agree with you, Leni, about sometimes in heterosexual relationships, we unintendedly traumatize each other, especially the man traumatizes the woman. And I think that in sexual relationships where we have no communication about what we do, then we look for, other signs of how to let the flow go in the act, and the erection is a very
Strong sign.
obvious, strong sign, and that is just, and then we do it, and we don't talk about if the woman is ready, or we just go along with no words and no, the routine that you spoke about.
Yeah.
So we have to communicate a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
But I know that shame and guilt and all those things are in the way of a good communication.
Yeah. How do you feel like, how do your clients show up to you when, they have some shame around their sexuality? And what does that do to their sexual health?
It makes problems. In the long run, it does. And from my chair, I'm really surprised how difficult it is for many couples, even though they've been together for many years. They have never had a conversation about sex.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. It creates problems.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, Leni, do you have some research on how shame, sits in our body in terms of sexual
Well, yes, as August just said, shame and guilt are one of the most common emotions we feel when it comes to sex. I add also tension and stress and fear, because some women just fear penetration for some reasons. And so there are two topics that I would like to share with you today very fast. One is desire, and one is the sexual fantasies, in really fast and really a capsule, just definitions. Okay, desire is something that we grow up thinking that sexual desire it's something that comes from inside, like feeling hungry or thirsty or tired. No, it doesn't work like that. Desire is something that we must trigger, that we must cultivate, that we must be really into. So if you are in a couple, we have to stimulate desire continuously, mutually. And this is very important. I cannot wait desires coming up in my body, because if I wait for that, I can wait all my life. So this is really in pills how desire works. And the other thing is the sexual fantasies. Sexual fantasies are, I'm not talking about, I would love to have sex in an elevator. This is just, you just go in an elevator and have sex, so this is okay. But, the sexual fantasies that we have in our brain. And they are absolutely important, because our sexual fantasies, the one that we use when we are living in intercourse, the one that we use to orgasm or to stay present, to stay in the moment, are very important, because they make us feeling safe. Because to release, to be ready for the release, for the orgasmic release, the body must feel safe.
Yeah.
So sexual fantasies make us feel safe. So let's cultivate them. They come from our childhood sometimes, and may come from traumatic experience, not necessarily connected with sex. But, if you think about it tonight, you go home and just think about it, and if you have a sexual fantasy, you would realize that this is something that is an image or something that makes you feel okay, that makes you feel safe with the moment, with the present, with the person I'm with, and with the orgasm and with the sexual pleasure.
Yeah. I love the way that you talk about like how sexual fantasies can create safety. But I also think it's important to, what we talk about a lot on the school at Johan Erting is like we have these 5 different erotic languages. And whereas sexual fantasies are one of them, but for example, just from own personal, for me, sexual fantasies doesn't create safety. It might for some, and that is amazing. But for me, it's all about being in the present moment, because I'm much more about the body and the sense and everything. So I think it's also about, asking the right questions to yourself and your partner, but also knowing your own sexuality, and especially, as you're saying, what makes you feel safe, and then go with that.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So, August, I just want to touch a bit more on shame and guilt. Like, how do you work with your clients about this? Is there specific questions, or is it some kind of body awareness that we have to do, or like, how do you work with your clients?
It depends on what we are approaching, but in general, I would say when I work with couples, we set up a way of having conversations with each other in a safe space. And if I should give one advice to you, have those conversations outside the sexual act, not in the sexual act. Evaluate what you did last night, or prioritize putting it in your schedule, like Friday afternoon, open a bottle of wine, have a glass of wine, and talk about sex.
Yeah.
Prioritize it. Like everything else you prioritize in your life, if it's important to you.
Yeah. Exactly.
So don't expect that you can have a thriving sex life if you don't prioritize having talks about it.
Yeah, definitely. I was at a talk with Sasha Chopra. She's a sexologist. Some of you might know her, but she asked her audience, how many of you have yourself or know someone who has experienced sexual trauma, some kind of sexual trauma? And everyone raised their hand. And then afterwards, she was like, okay, how many of you think that sex and intimacy should be the most amazing thing ever? And everyone raised their hand. And I just think it's such an important and great picture of like how many expectations we can have for sex and intimacy, but how much baggage some of us and a lot of us actually have with us. So it really is a journey, and that is also why I think this work is so important. Yeah. So one thing is about talking with your partner about sex, but I also love what you do with Peech, Clara, because you have really built a community around sexuality and sexual well-being. And I think, as August said in the beginning, in terms of what sexual health is, it's also about, staying stronger, like knowing your own sexuality. How have you seen that the community around Peech has helped people deal with shame and, be stronger in their sexuality?
I think in our community and customer base, people are super brave and honest, and they share a lot of experience. We are very big on Instagram, where we share a lot about sexual health, and also in our stores we talk a lot about it. We host different events, and in all different settings, the community is really good at actively talking about their sexual experiences. And I think that just to have an open conversation, even if it's with your partner or with friends or at a community thing, then it's important to talk about it because we inspire each other and we make other people feel safe and seen, because what we think we experience only ourselves, there's 100,000 people who experience the same thing.
Yeah.
So talking about it openly just makes us safe. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we are going to actually kind of round up in a little bit, but I just want to touch on, the orgasm and how important it is for our health. So, Dr. Leni, can you put a few words to how important, the orgasm is for our health?
I was in London last year at a conference, and the sexologist said, a very renowned one, that I love her. She said that an orgasm a day makes our lives 10 years longer. So this is a huge number of years, So so starting from this, what I say is that what if not? What if this doesn't happen? How maybe or maybe not, if we don't care, miserable our life can be if we cannot orgasm, not even by ourselves during masturbation, because this is also a thing, and not be able to orgasm with masturbation. This is especially women, but also men. So this is really a point, because the life and the everyday life, but the physiology of the person who is constantly searching, looking for orgasm, and trying to know what pleasure is, and he or she is not finding the way to that. That is a completely disruptive behavior, and the physiology of the body and the whole body and of the brain suffers so much about that. So to go back to orgasm and how does it work? Okay, once the brain is completely on, it's like on sex. Okay, you have this excitation. You're excited. You're sexually excited. That, let me tell you, please let me share this with you. For a woman to be lubricated, it doesn't mean that she is sexually excited. To be sexually excited means being mentally excited, because I can have an orgasm if I am mentally excited and absolutely not lubricated, but I can be very much lubricated and not mentally excited, so there's no way I can reach an orgasm in that case. So this is also important. So lubrication and sexual excitement are not synonymous. This is very important. And so once the brain is properly stimulated, and once the body is properly stimulated, and once the physiology is really into present, and I trust the person I have in front of me. Any person, it can be, as I said before, my husband, my wife, my Tinder date, a completely unknown person at a concert, just below the corner, no problem. But I have to feel the trust. Safeness and trust make the brain release, the okay for pleasure. Okay, let her or let him feel pleasure. And this, electric impulse just comes down through the spine, and arrives in the genitals, especially in this part of the genitals, in this side, so in the glands, in the bulbs, and also one of the third, because they are like three roots of the pudendum nerves. The pudendum nerve, there's at the level like S3, S4 vertebra here, there's a little hole, so the nerve enters here and it becomes 3, so it goes, 2 of them goes in the area of the clitoris, and so not in the vagina, and one goes more or less behind, close to the anus, because they're very much responsible for female orgasm, at least, is the anus elevator muscle that does this movement, and this gives the contractions of the orgasm. So the pudendum nerve has 2 important, roles. One is to send to the genitals a sensorial, a sensitivity, a sensorial sensation, and the movement. So it's a nerve that has these 2 characteristics. So pleasure and contractions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's perfect. It's like when you're passionate about something.
Yeah,
just
that's it.
So, okay, one last question for all of you, because I want to give our audience something practical to take with them. So 1 sentence, or as short as you can do it. What is the one thing, we'll start with you, Clara. What is the one thing our audience can do today to support their sexual health?
To embrace their body, physically and mentally.
To communicate. And I think what Leni said was super important about the safety aspect. So the sexual act is something that you should prioritize. The foreplay is actually 23 hours a day, and if you have 1 hour, sexual act. So be aware that it's something that you have to nurture all the time.
It's an energy you have to keep alive.
It's an energy you have to keep alive, yeah.
Thank you. And Leni, one actionable step.
Prioritize the relation with your genitals, and feel and perceive yourself like a sexually responsive human.
Love that. Thank you, all 3 of you. That went so quick.
It did.
Yeah. And thank you for all of you listening. And we're just really grateful. Enjoy the rest of Copenhagen Health Week.